It's time to do some planting. I've got my grow list here. I've got everything organised. There's planting over here, second planting, third and fourth. Then from our little Excel spreadsheet, I've gone ahead and made up all the labels that I need, segregating them by which planting it's going to be. Then we take a tray of nursery tubes that we've pre-filled with peat, giving them time to dry. I'll just do one for demonstration purposes. When I say peat, I actually mean cocoa. It's cocoa coir, but it acts just like peat. We've got a bit of rain in there, but it's alright. We squeeze it out, jam it in. Now it's ready to accept some seeds. Seeds, seed labels, and we've got our peat ready, which we've put some holes in, crown. It's time to get labelled. Now when I do things, I like to make it as fast and easy for myself to do as possible. So one of the reasons why I've pre-filled all of these is just for efficiency, but another one is so that they're already dry and I just need to wipe off a little bit of dry cocoa before putting a label on. Now, while I apply all these labels, I might just have a little bit of a ramble about why we don't want to use peat and why we should use cocoa instead. Cocoa is actually a nice renewable medium. It's made from coconut fibre, so every time you're enjoying yourself some coconut cookies or maybe a pina colada or a bit of coconut water, that produces coconut fibre waste, and that can be burnt and is used as a fuel in some countries, but it can also be compressed and sent over to us to use as a growing medium. So it's approaching carbon neutral. Obviously the processing and shipping does use some fossil fuels, but as does any other growing medium you have, and cocoa is pretty light to ship, so it's not bad in that way. But then if you look at something like peat, the process of making peat involves draining a peat bog usually. Sometimes there are dry deposits. Sorry, you'll have to excuse my neighbour building a shed. He got booted out by his wife and moved back in with his mum. Anyway, peat bogs, they get drained, and when they're drained they end up releasing lots of methane, and methane is a pretty nasty greenhouse gas. And we really don't want to be releasing that for no reason. And for most applications, cocoa is functionally identical to peat. It's unlike peat, it's actually basically neutral, whereas peat is actually a bit acidic. Peat does have a couple niche uses that cocoa can't replace. One of them is formed soil, because the cocoa fibres are just a little bit too large. But yeah, a peat bog does a fantastic job of sequestering carbon dioxide, because as the bog grows and does its thing, it absorbs carbon dioxide from the air in the aquatic plants, which then sink to the bottom, get compressed and turned into peat, which stays there indefinitely. So yeah, save your peat for making scotch. Alrighty, we've got the crayon back out. We're just going to redefine all of these holes. So what I've definitely learnt this time is that I'm better off putting on the labels before I fill them with peat. but it's still part of the learning process and being more efficient next time so I can spend less time planting and more time enjoying. Well, now it's time to plant the seeds. So for most of these I'm going to put 2 or 3 in each hole because my time is worth more than a few seeds, and I don't want to be going back and having to plant more when they fail to pop up. So we're putting a few in each, hoping for the best. And we can always cull them later, the ones that don't really work out too well. Now, a word on which ones I'm growing first and why. Some varieties, like most of the bacardums, really don't seem to mind if they have a bit of a cold period and go dormant for a bit. They come back and keep growing just as they were before. Whereas other varieties, like most of your annuums, seem to give really poor quality fruit once they've gone dormant once. And we don't want that. Some varieties I have very few seeds of, so 1 seed per hole. Others I have heaps and heaps that I've collected myself, so why not put 3 or 4? So you'll notice I've also got some chinens in this list, and at least in my experience, chinens don't seem to mind going dormant for a bit too much. In their second year they do seem to have smaller leaves, but they seem to grow just fine and their fruit seem unaffected. So I'm hoping that when I transfer these to the greenhouse they won't mind too much. That's the hope. Now that everything's been watered, we give it a good old spritz down. I like to use rainwater. It seems to give better germination results. Now that everything's nice and dead, we'll pop in the germination esky.